Hello and welcome everybody to our webinar. Today we would like to show our new version of our HTML5 visual scheduling widget standard edition, and the new version is the version 3.0. We, that is myself and Dieter Temme, I am Elmar Karlovic and the managing director of NETRONIC software, and Dieter is a team leader of HTML5 development within NETRONIC, and in this regard, fully in charge of all development efforts concerning the VSW.
Yeah, hello to you all. I'm Dieter.
And just give me some few words on day before yesterday. I really appreciate that so many of you came back and assigned to this webinar after we had these little technical issues, but for today, I'm really confident that we can do that. Okay, so then let's start off. And as I assume that you know NETRONIC already, I don't want to hop or give you a full company presentation, but you know NETRONIC as the worldwide leading supplier of visual scheduling software. So visualizing planning data, especially via Gantt chart, this is our DNA, and this is what we have doing for the last or more than 40 years now, and this is what we have doing so successfully in the past. But let's hop into today's topic, which is version 3.30. And here I want to outline the road or the path we have walked along to come to that version. So the starting point was the NETRONIC Web Application Framework. And this web application framework was and still is the technical base for all of our three business lines. So it is a technical base for our cloud-based standard scheduling application called Just Planet, but it is also the technical base for all visual scheduling add-ins that we provide for Microsoft Business Central 365. And of course, it was also the basis for what we called the customized HTML5 scheduling widgets. And in this regard, at this starting point, there was a mandatory specification phase up front. So like potential customers reached out to us, and together with them in an extensive specification phase, we fixed all the requirements, and then we took the web application framework and we realized customized widgets and delivered them to the customers. But the more and more customer project that we realized successfully with that business model, the more completeness of the base widget we have reached. And at a certain point, this led us to the conclusion to release and offer a first standard widget or a standard edition that allows you guys also to build HTML5 planning boards without any customization. And this very first version of the widget was released in early spring of this year. And maybe you guys also remember that we had a webinar to introduce this to you. But since then, we have pushed really hard, and we have added significantly more functionality to the initial version of the standard edition. And remember, we are in the market for developer control since more than 40 years now. So we know your requirements, and so we know where to focus on to really significantly enhance the very first version. And this is what we have done in the last couple of months. And so now we are really proud that we, in the meantime, already released the version 3.0, which is already downloadable on our webpage. And with that 3.0 version, you are able to realize almost all visualization requirements that you might have for an HTML5 JavaScript Gantt chart. And by the way, also very important and good to know, 3.0 is also fully compatible with all of our former versions of widgets. So having said that, I'm now handing over to Dieter, who will show the new version 3.0 in details to you. So Dieter, please take over at this point.
Yes, I take over. And can you see my screen, Emma?
Yes, I can.
With the data model, yes, we had the data model in spring 2019 with these objects here. And these are the main objects of our widget. These are activities, resources, allocations, and some more like curves, calendars, and links. We have also entity objects, and here not showed are symbols. But now with 3.0, we have more object types than before. And now there are added tooltip templates, date lines, and table row definitions. And these object types I will show you now after this architecture sheet, because I wanted to show you also that in the last time we had this architecture sheet showing the NETRONIC web application framework on the client side of the web application here on the right, and we had a customization layer on top of it. Now we have the visual scheduling widget in the standard edition as the first layer, and then there's an optional customizing on top of it. And so you can use the visual scheduling widget in the standard edition also as pure widget in your web application. And here's shown your application consists of a client and a server part, and the client part creates data objects, and these data objects are handed over to the widget by using methods. We have several options and callbacks. These are there because we use the jQuery UI widget technology for our widget. So now we go to the live demonstration, and this is also new because we have a new sample application which can show more features than before of our widget. I will go straight into the topics here, and our widget offers two views: the activities view and the resources view. And for the first, we look at the resources view here. And at the very first, we look at the time scale. This time scale is a dynamic one, so we call it. It's automatically labeled for the time resolution that is shown, because I can stretch or shrink the time resolution by using the mouse wheel. I can scroll here by using dragging with the mouse, or I can use scrolling here with the scroll bar as usual. And we can switch the locale for the time scale to several languages. This is German now, and back to American. We can use methods to fit all the time into the view, or to set the right time resolution, which is also new here, to a certain stretching factor. So it shows now 12-hour periods on the top. Below of the time scale, we show here our calendar grids. These calendar grids show working time and non-working time in white and non-working time in gray. New is that we can have also another color than gray if you want. and the calendars are assigned to each row separately, so you can show working time calendars for each resource different. And the time scale, I've forgotten to mention, can now be colored as well to show your look and feel in the application. And also the table title can be colored now. So I'll go back to the main sample in the moment. And here you can see in the table that the table consists of nested rows. The several levels of the resources here can be collapsed and expanded. We also have colors on the resource lines, which can be defined on the resource objects. Additionally, we have a curve pane on each resource. It shows load curves and a capacity curve. And when the capacity is lower than the load on this resource, we can show an overload with a different color. All the colors are definable by the application. The labeling here is automatically done by the values that are given in the curves. The curves are calculated not by ourselves, but by your application then, because we say always that we don't include business logic. So you can use your own business logic here and don't rely on our business logic, which may not fit to your needs. When I look here on the resource, we have also symbols on the left side. We can see here now that a callback was triggered for the tooltip. We have several callbacks also for other actions. You can see it on the bottom part of the application here. It is here only for showing it to you. We have made it visible, and there are several callbacks. And if there, when I come back to the symbols here, when there are more symbols than can be shown in the row, then it can be extended when you move this over it with the mouse. We can scroll to several resources by a method, or we can select resources as well as we can select other objects like allocations, but I come later to it back. What is also new here and is not shown when I start the application is that we can have now more than one column, table column, and this is also defined by a new object. I mentioned it. I mentioned it before. These table row definitions are objects with several properties, and you can define a width, a maximum and minimum width. You can define where the text will come from the resource in the moment, and you can define a column title and other things. And when I go back to the sample, you can see that I can also change the column width here interactively, and then also a callback is triggered to show the application that the user has changed something here. Another new thing in our new widget 3.0 is that we can have a top area in the resource view where you can show maybe unassigned allocations, and you can drag them vertically onto the known resources to assign a task. Maybe it's up to your application to fill in the semantics here. And yes, that's, I think, I forgot to show you the new date lines. Before we could only show one work date line, and now it's possible to show more than one date line, and these date lines can have a title and color, and the line can be also attributed with a dash array here and line width, and you can put these date lines on any date you want. Yeah, then I go forth to the next object type, because we also have additionally to the unassigned task, unassigned resource here on top, we can also show unassigned tasks or other objects here that is also dependent from your application in this entity table. And also these entities can be nested, so we can show maybe tasks that are unassigned in groups. And you can define in your application that you can drag one entity onto the time area and drop it here. And new is also that you can define already a duration for each entity, so it shows up here. So you can see if one entity can put in here in a time area where no other allocation is put in or not. So this is a new feature here. And also these entities can be selected, or I can scroll to a certain entity. This will then always be shown with a blinking frame to show the user what's where the entity then is located. Then I will show you here that we can have allocation bars with several entries in it. In this application, we show that several allocations have different entries here defined. In this allocation, we have 3 entries, with each has a color. It could be that these entries have a meaning like a startup phase or runtime phase, teardown phase. That's up to the application. The colors I've shown. Then we have a progress bar on these allocations. And I have another sample here put in, so you can see that it's not only possible to show the progress, but you can also have another date that is new here to define a predicted end maybe, and you can color this additional bar also in your application, so you can put a special meaning onto this predicted end, which is shown behind the bar or inside the bar. That is jetzt Hänger. That is by the date you put here, it's defined if the bar is outside of the normal bar or inside. So the next thing I can show you here is the constraints on these allocation bars. These are also new and can be colored as you like. These are samples for the semantic here. You can put it as an earliest start, an earliest end, or latest start, latest end, or you can have another symbol for must start or must end on the certain date. And it's up to your application to fill in the semantic here again. And we have put here some drag modes onto it, but this is also up to your application if you want to allow a dragging, a moving of this allocation horizontally or vertically. It's up to your application to define it. You can also say that an allocation can be dragged horizontal or vertically, or you can forbid it for one allocation if you want. These allocations can also be selected and it can be scrolled to them, not in this sample. Now, also when I go back to the main sample, you can see here that the allocations are connected by links that can have also a color and a dash array. And This is also true for the activities view, where we have also these links. And so we can show the other view. Now here in this other view, we can see the activities on the table, and also these activities can be nested and collapsed then, and we can have symbols on the left side of the activities. Activities can be colored in the row, and we show also bars of these activities, and these can also be colored differently for each activity. And I switch back to the feature sample, where we can show that also these activities now in the activities view can have several colors. We can have these constraints like shown also on the allocations, but we have also other shapes here, because we have the shape for summary bars, which you can use in project planning, or we can use here milestones if you want, with a diamond shape. And additionally, we have also a baseline bar here for activities. So you can show former dates before another scheduling if you want in your application. And we have a possibility to show a release date and a due date. Also new for this release of the Visual Scheduling Widget is that we can have a user-defined height of a bar or of a row, and you can use it in your application to show more than one title line. You can use here captions in 2 or 3 lines if you want, and also this is possible for all objects that show rows. So it's possible for entities, for resources, and for activities. And at last, I want to show you, which we can see here now also, that we can have tooltips. And these tooltips now can be defined by an extra object. You can see it here. These tooltip templates are defined with an idea and have HTML inside as a string, and inside the HTML string you can have variable attribute names of your objects inside these curly braces, and so it's possible to show the tooltips templates here for all allocations with only one template that can be defined as a default, or also again on each object for itself. So you don't have to repeat all the strings for the tooltips on each object like before. So you can define now a template for each tooltip, and this tooltip is shown then dynamically with the current data of this single object. And this is again here implemented in this sample application. The sample application is also in the download of our Visual Scheduling Widget. You can get the source code for it. Here it's commented, and the data sets are also included, so you can see how we do this examples here, and so you can learn also, apart from the documentation that we give, how to implement the features for yourself. So I think I'm finished here for the moment.
Yeah, then thank you very much.
Want to take over again, or?
Yes, I will do that. Thank you very much, Dieter, for pointing or for showing us all the details that have been newly added to that version. And now to wrap up, I'm taking over, and we will finally have a look into the business and pricing module of the new version 3.0. And in this regard, yeah, first of all, we mentioned it's many times now. So the mandatory phase of specification, this is the past. What you first have to do is go to our website, download, test, and evaluate the Visual Scheduling Widget Standard Edition with this new version. You will get the link after this webinar, and here we provide free trials that last for 30 days where you can really intensely test the software. What you will get, Dieter pointed it out before, you will get also the sample application as well as all the examples that Dieter showed with commented code. So that will help you to best evaluate how mighty our visual scheduling widget is. Of course, you will also get documentation, so the description of functionality as well as the description of API. Then, of course, it comes to a standard pricing. Here you have to license the widget. Then there is maintenance and support, and there is a deployment fee. And once more, you can, but you don't need to additionally add customizing. So if you see during the evaluation that there might be still some functionality which the new version does not provide, then reach out to us. We are still offering this customizing, no problem. This will be then offered to you based on a fixed price offer. Yeah, that is following the estimated efforts that we need. So then finally, let's have a look on the prices itself. So here, the license for the visual scheduling widget in the new version costs 12,700 euros, but this is including 2 days of integration support. So by experience, we have learned that it's giving you a very high benefit if you have the possibility to directly reach out to Dieter and his team to personally get assistance in the best way of integrating our widget into your solution. So that is included already in that one-time fee. And this is also one-time fee concerning the widget. So we don't care how many developers on your side work with our widget. So that's different to our former developer controls. So, and the widget can be controlled via many options and many attributes. And here again, we don't care how many developers are working with our widget. Then maintenance and support is 2,200 euros per year. And finally, the deployment, that is also a one-time perpetual fee that comes with every deployment of your application to your end customer. So we wanted to keep that as simple as we could do. So this is like an average calculation. So we don't care how many end users your application has. So there's just this one-time perpetual deployment fee per every of your end customer, which is 1,900 euros. Okay, so this is it for today. I thank you very much for your kind attention. So Dieter and myself, we are really looking forward to getting your feedback and your questions so I can motivate all of you. Go to our website, download the new version, try it out, and see and experience by yourself how mighty this new widget is. So in case you have questions, you can, of course, make use of this webinar chat box, or later on directly reach out to me or to Dieter. We will be happy to answer your questions. So, and here I can see that there is one question that came up in the chat, and this is a question for you, Dieter. So here one guest is asking how flexible the graphical configuration is.
Yes, I think that I have said that you can define colors for all of the objects that are visible on the screen. but also the bars are can be defined in this amount that I have shown it. It's not fully flexible, but I think there are many possibilities here to show the things that an application needs. And so when there are new ideas to have it to show other dates or other kinds of shapes or so on, then I think that you are invited to tell us.
Okay, good. Thank you. And so this was Rachel who asked the question. So Rachel, in this regard, also my recommendation is directly reach out to Dieter and probably go into a discussion with him and clarify in detail of what you are thinking when or what you were thinking when you just insert that question. And here is another question that is mine, because one guest is asking about like the B2B in brackets at the pricing slide. What does that mean? Yes, that is a very good question. Like our business models of the developer controls assumes that we have got like a B2B business. That means that we provide our widget to you and you integrate that in your own solution, which is then given to the end customer. So this business chain here is foreseen. If you might be an end customer already, so that you integrate the widget into your internal solution with internal users, then we need to calculate the deployment fee based on your calculation of foreseen named users. So that's a bit different because, like as I said, we wanted to make it as easy as possible, and so we have got an average calculation, of course, in the B2B model. But if it comes to an end customer's case, then we need to step aside and see how many users the end customer calculates. Okay, so then there is the next question. Let me see. So Abdul asks, what about to have a sample of edit data form for a task or resource?
I don't know if I understand it correctly.
So I can just repeat it again. So Abdul is asking if we have a sample of edit data form for a task or resource. I'm not quite sure if he's referring.
Editing is not inside in our widget, because you can have a callback trigger for double clicking on each object, and then you in answering this callback, you can show your own editor for each object, for the resources and so on. And so we don't include our own editor, and in the moment it's not possible to edit the texts here in the rows or bars itself.
Yeah, so like we just we will still, or we are still following the approach that our planning board is just visualizing everything that you from your application put into the widget, and of course the widget also foresees that all interaction that you make in the planning board are directly end in an event or callback that you can make use of with via connecting it with your application. Okay, so then the next question again comes from Rachel, and she's asking about the printing, if the printing still is not supported, and the answer here in this case, yes. So version 3.0 does not include printing of the Gantt chart. This is something that we have on our roadmap for potential for future releases, but still, as printing out of an HTML5 application is kind of a critical issue and not as easy or not very easy to solve, we didn't integrate this into the 3.0 version where we focused on all the core requirements. And on the other hand side, just I want to add some experience that we made running our other business lines. As I explained to you in the beginning, we provide also ready-to-use cloud-based applications. And here, of course, we have learned that like the data is highly volatile, and as long as this is highly volatile, printing makes no sense, as in the moment you press the printing button, the plan might be needed to change and is old again. And in that regard, we recommend just to have flat screen and show the gunshot or planning board as is rather than permanently printing it out. But that's not said that we won't integrate that functionality in the future, but for the time being, I cannot give any binding date for it. Okay, then we have got another question that is, can the widget be integrated with every solution without any compatibility issues?
Yes. I don't know exactly what this means, because I think in general with our jQuery UI widget, there is the possibility to put this into any web application you want. We do not have any bindings for Angular or other frameworks, but we have made the experience that our customers know for themselves how to include a jQuery UI widget here. And this is our base in the moment for all customers, and it's accepted in the moment. We have there a base for our whole development for web or HTML5 widgets. And so I think we are compatible with all the web applications. And if the question means if we are compatible with former versions of our library or so, then we have said that the widget itself, it's compatible with to the one that we have offered in Spring, and it's also compatible with older versions of our web application framework, I think, and we can have a migration then with former customers of our older widgets from last year, the year before, will go into this new release then.
Yeah, and to have an additional word on that, here the question was if it can be integrated with every solution. So of course I could not grant a yes that it's by 100% compatible with every solution, but the experience is that in the past we haven't seen or haven't faced any problems in that regard, and we are very confident that we will keep that in the future. Okay, so this is the list of questions. Then once again, guys, thank you very much for your time. If you might have questions afterwards, again, make use of our emails, reach out to us. We will be there for you, and we are looking forward, yes, to work with you in the future on an HTML5 basis. So thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Yes. Bye-bye. Also from me.